Here we go. Let me just fix this thing. All right. I just wait. Always, I try to just like go ahead, but I love to see it on my phone going live. That's why.
Yeah, whatever works for you. Mm,
Few seconds more.
mm.
Yes, we're live already. Monday
Yes.
Talkers. Monday Talkers. Hello, 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 hello again. Daniel Tuchel. I am the founder of N Design Studio, a self-proclaimed as LinkedIn alchemist and a storyteller. I spent many years transforming ordinary brands into extraordinary thought leaders. My journey wasn't always about crafting compelling narratives or telling stories. I spent also 2 decades honing my engineering skills. But it was the spark of entrepreneurship that ignited my true passion. NDS became my second daughter, nurtured with every challenge and fueled with pure passion. But success wasn't always about numbers, just like engineers just look like to see it. It was about crafting stories that resonates with people. That's why I launched Monday Talks. Monday Talks now is going live easily because I want people to interact and be part of this show. You have the chance to ask the expert, which is my guest, to any question that comes your mind, or you come prepared. Depends on the title of this episode. So today, I'm not just an entrepreneur; I'm a storyteller. My mission is to help you rewrite your own story, whether you're an engineer, business owner, or simply someone looking to make a difference. I believe that storytelling is the key to unlock your potential. So if you are ready to star your own story, connect with me and let's explore how unique narrative can take center stage. You too could be my guest on Monday Talks and inspire the world. Guess what? So, welcome again, Monday Talks. Today, I'm excited as also my guest. We have the privilege of hosting Dr. Matthias Hombauer, a renowned leadership expert and the CEO of Lead from Within. Dr. Matthias is passionate advocate for mindful leadership and has dedicated his life to helping individuals and organizations reach their full potential. In this session, we'll delve deep into the power of mindfulness and how that impact the leadership. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the show, Dr. Matthias. How are you today?
Thank you so much, Daniel. It's a pleasure to be here. I have to admit, I was here 1 hour earlier because of the time difference. I'm based in Vienna, but I'm glad that we finally made it and we are here at the same time doing this. Thanks so much for having me.
Amazing. Thanks so much for being my guest. So, as always, we'd love to know who's Dr. Matthias.
Yes, who is Dr. Matthias? That's a great question to start with, and maybe I just give you a little background about myself.
Please do.
Um, I'm trained as a molecular biologist. I have a PhD in there, and most likely my whole life was about achieving things. Right, so at the age of 6, I started to be in athletics and did some competitions in 100-meter sprint and long jump, where I won some national championships. And then I moved on with a couple of schools, and then I ended with a molecular biologist, becoming like a scientist. And it was always about achieving. And at this time, everyone thought I figured it out, right? Because I had this prestigious stipend. I was working at a world-renowned scientific institute. I had my PhD, and everything looked good from the outside. But from the inside, there was something missing. I was searching for something more, like for fulfillment or happiness, or like a feeling of being fulfilled. And it turned out like I can't get this from the outside. I need to go inside.
Mm,
And so this is when my whole inner journey started. I started with therapy first because I had some relationship issues, and I was thinking, maybe it's not about the girls, maybe it's about me. And I went deep in there for a year or so, and then I decided, okay, maybe it's about being fulfilled by connecting to yourself. And so I really started to listen to my intuition, and this led me to a wild ride. So from having this PhD in molecular biology after 9 years, I decided to become a rock star photographer. So mainly my idea
PhD,
was
microbiology,
right, right.
PhD, and rockstar.
Everyone was like, yeah, I mean, you're nuts, you have this opportunity to be in all this academic career, and now you're becoming a photographer of rock bands, right? And so the idea that I had, and maybe just really shortly, this I want to share this story. um, so I was always cycling with my bike to work, and one
Hmm.
day I was cycling, and all of a sudden this voice appeared in me who said, why are you not becoming a concert photographer? And the thing is, I had no clue about what concert photography is back then. So when I came to work, I Googled concert photography, and I found out that there are a couple of, just a handful of people worldwide who are shooting their bands, they're making a living, and they are sharing their stories online. So I
Hmm.
was hooked, and it's like, okay, I have a camera. I don't know exactly what to do with it. I love music. Let's combine them together. And so, following my intuition and my passion at this moment, um, I jumped into the cold water. And a couple of years later, I was an international concert photographer shooting all the rock stars, whatnot. I was flying to Saudi Arabia. I was shooting for Instagram in France. And then what happened was that I have now two kids. I'm a dad of two kids. Mia is 8 and Noah is 5. But back
Hmm.
then, we were ready to get Mia as our first kid. And I was thinking, I don't like to be out at night and shooting bands all the time. I want to be at home and want to be a stay-at-home dad for my daughter. And so the next crazy idea following my intuition was, okay, maybe I can build an online business. And I had no
Hmm.
clue how to do it, right? And so I got into building a homepage, and this was like 12, 13 years ago. Things were different. I started to write a blog about my concert photography journey. And I found out that a lot of people, especially in the US, in England, and in Australia, were interested in it. So I started to write an ebook, which became an Amazon bestseller. I
Oh,
started to sell an online course. And all of a sudden, by not having this intention, I grew one of the biggest concert photography communities worldwide. It was
wow.
just crazy. I have like on Instagram, if you follow the project was called How to Become a Rockstar Photographer. And like the short version is HD Barb. If you have a look on Instagram at the hashtag, it has like over 600,000 photos included,
Wow.
even though the hashtag is like a really weird one. And yeah, and so this was my life as a rockstar photographer for about 12 years. And then COVID hit. And
Mm.
the rockstar photography business was dead from one day to the next because there were no concerts for years. No one was interested in buying a concert photography course, actually. And so I reinvented myself again, and I stumbled about the Coactive Training Institute in California. And yeah, I found that, coaching, mentoring, helping people to live their full potential is something that I love doing. And the whole journey transformed my life. So, long story short, what I'm doing right now is working with leaders, with CEOs, with people who want to have an impact, and helping them achieving from inner peace, joy, and fun. Because these guys are all doers and makers, and that's important. But most often they forget about who they truly are. And yeah, so that's my kind of mission, to bring them forward.
Every time I host a guest, I just get one story, but this one is really diverse from microbiology into PhD, into rockstar photographer, and then back into coaching. The world is like you cannot imagine the surprises you get while you go on with life, right?
Exactly. When you're open to it, right? That there were a lot of path I could have gone, right? Most of the people that I know back from the research is they stayed in research, but they hated it, you know. But for the reason
Mm.
of they didn't see an alternative, and based on fear to do something completely different after 9 years of studying, that's more like the crazy side. Stick to your guns, you know, be comfortable and stick what you have right now. And nothing wrong with this. For me, it was never an option because I always believed following my intuition is the right way to be more fulfilled and happy in my life.
Is that so inspiring or what? Welcome on board, Ismina Tamimi, Rais Ali, my loyal, and I love having them always. Um, for all of you guys who have problems with the line or with the session on LinkedIn, you can find it also on YouTube. Monday Talks. You just search for it on YouTube. You'll find us there. And let's go ahead. Today we're talking about mindfulness
Yes.
and mindfulness into leadership. How about we start with defining what's mindful means and how is that
Mhm.
related to leadership, and why is it, let's say, essential
Yeah.
for leaders today?
Right. So, you know, just from the start, and I'm not a monk, I'm not an expert in mindfulness, but what I've always done is I have a love for learning, and I got started like 12 years ago with meditation. Went to Japan to a Zen temple, and this started the whole journey. And so I'm really keen on, let's say, that the concept of mindfulness. And so what I would love to share is like how I'm seeing it and how maybe other people's seeing it, but there are different versions. Mindfulness per se is just being, it's like a concentration practice, right? So you go to the gym because you're training your muscles and to grow your muscles, and mindfulness is like a training for the mind, a training for your mental muscle. And the idea is, or the benefit, if you train your mental muscle, you get more aware of what's going on.
Hmm.
For example, you get triggered by something, you know, maybe it's a colleague at work, maybe it's a kid at home, maybe it's someone who cuts you on the street with the car, and you just feel like, oh, you know, an emotion comes up and you get triggered, and anger is there, for example. And
Hmm.
if you're not aware of this, then you're becoming this anger. You identify with this emotion, and it's like, okay, I'm now angry. I'm angry. What do I do now? And then it takes some time to get out of this loophole again. With mindfulness, what you're training actually is to, you will get triggered for sure. You don't have control over this, but once you get triggered, you have the ability to have a neutral stance on it and say, okay, I get triggered. That's interested. Getting angry now, but what do I want to do with it? Do I want to
Hmm.
go full blast and being angry, or is it something else I want to do? And maybe I just take a deep breath and everything is good again, right? So
Is it like, although the name has mind in it, like
right,
mindful, right?
yeah.
But does that mean that I control my thoughts or I control my emotions?
Yeah, so far what I got is it's not a, it's controlling. It's like, let's start from here. You can't control your thoughts and your emotions. They will come, right? Because
Mm.
you get triggered from the outside.
As,
But what you
as
can do,
reflections of what happened.
but yeah, so one misconception is that people say, okay, if I'm doing meditation, for example, I need to get to a state where there are no thoughts, there is no feeling, there is nothing, right? Only silence. And people argue that this might not be possible. And one idea or one concept is, see your mind as a like a blue sky, and then you have your clouds floating by, and the clouds are like either feelings or thoughts. And what you're doing is you're simply observing from a neutral stance.
Hmm.
So, okay, there is a thought that might be anger. It's passing. I'm feeling it. And then you're just letting go of it. Okay. And it passes instead of I'm grabbing this and now I'm angry because I'm becoming this anger. So,
Hmm.
and this is something that I experienced by myself. As I said, I have two kids, 5 and 8, and there is always something that triggers me. Sometimes I'm at home and it's late at night, and those little guys don't want to get to bed. Maybe someone
Hmm.
else knows about it, right? And they have the fun of their life and whatnot, and I'm just getting angry. And I observed like that's interesting. Why do I get angry when those little guys have the best time of their life, right? Hanging out and having fun. And so, if you get into this mindfulness, what it will do for you is, again, you get triggered. You might feel you're getting angry, but then you have a choice what to do. And my choice is now, okay, maybe I just take a deep breath. I say again, let's go to sleep in a neutral way. And then everything works out instead of, freaking out and shouting around and whatnot. So, in this
What a
case,
nice.
and that's like a personal story, right? And you ask for leadership. Leadership is like, if you are a leader, you are in constant situations that are stressful. You need to make big decisions. It's about investments. It's about taking decisions for where you want to go with the company and all these things. And if you can be in a calm state, things will get easier. You're not get triggered that often.
It's not easy to explain or express because it's a mix of thoughts and feelings. And sometimes leaders do not explain themselves when they make decisions, right? They made it based on emotions, they made it based on expertise, they made it based on like the current moment that this what has to be said and this has what has to be decided. So
Exactly.
how we can perceive this? Like
Right.
if we hear such a solid mind after hearing all the employees, now he's solid, and then this is the decision. That's how we go.
Right. And that's one kind of leadership. There are different styles. But what it shows is most likely if you have a coaching like or transformative type of leadership, which means you're open, you're also hearing your employees, you empower them, that might be a better way to lead. And again, I'm not here to say what's right or wrong because both have their indications and usefulnesses. But in general, what I'm seeing when working with leaders, they are all, as I said, they're doers, they're makers, and that's great. And they are also kind of cut off from here with their emotions. It's more like in their head, I need to find a mental solution. I'm doing analysis. It's about numbers. And again,
Yeah.
nothing wrong with this. But what I found is if you get to a place where you can trust your intuition more and your body, this can be this will bring a lot of benefits. And for me, for example, I am only taking decisions based on my intuition right now. So what I'm doing is I'm asking myself a question internally and see what comes up. And if I get
Hmm.
a feeling or something on one of the answers, I go with it.
What if the feeling is not justified? I feel awkward about it, but I don't find a data or a reason.
Yeah.
Wh-
And
Who,
and
sh- who,
that's
who, who should I trust?
exactly. And that's like in general, I would say always trust your body, not your brain. And
Oh,
that's a radical thing for sure, right? And again, not saying that the brain is bad or the mind is bad. I mean, it's genius, and we need this. But what if you can combine, all of this? And what I've learned as a researcher, I was one of those guys who were like, everything needs to be data driven, everything needs to be analytical. And I was not really. yes, I felt myself in a way, but I was more like, oh, there is an emotion, I don't know what to do. And I was like, the emotion was more like a my master, and I had to obey, right? And now
Mm,
it's like, okay, I'm the master, and I have control over emotions. And emotions are important, um, to tell you what's going on. And one way to see it, in a with a metaphor, is like you have a hot stove, and if you place your hand on the hot stove, it's like, okay, oh, that hurts. That's the feeling, right?
mhm,
And then
mhm,
it's over, and then you take a decision. What we are getting ourselves most likely into is we are having the hand on the hot stove, then the feeling like anger arises, and then we are stuck with the hand on the hot stove, right? Probably for
mhm.
days. Something happens. It's like, oh, I'm not good enough, and then you're in this spiral of, okay, I'm not good enough, and you tell yourself
Always,
all these things,
always.
right? Probably.
I'm not good enough is what really the scariest challenge for leaders.
Yeah,
Really,
and
they always seem like this. I'm not enough. I'm not good enough, and I have to
exactly.
work more, dedicate more, and
Exactly. And
think
jumping from
more.
one to the next, right? Never feeling fulfilled. And so coming back to the metaphor, it's like having this hand on your hot stove the whole time, even though you feel that's not the best beneficial way. And so the idea is also to observe your feelings and say, okay, there is this feeling, there is, nervousness, there is anxiousness. And again, maybe you get yourself into an uncomfortable position to grow. You will have this feeling, but um, you're not controlled by it. For
Hmm.
example, if you have a keynote on a big stage, for sure you will be nervous before, but you don't let your nervousness rule your performance. But
Okay,
it's
let's dig deep now into the leader
yeah,
mind and heart. Okay. Um, One day he was an employee. Now he's a leader because he earned it and he worked hard to get there. But self-doubt is really big thing. So how can leaders overcome or at least live with and
mhm,
cultivate self-confidence?
yeah. That's a great question as well. What I'm seeing with most likely with leaders, they have a position where it's pretty lonely up there, right? So if you're a CEO, if you're a leader from a company, yes, you have all your employees, but most likely they will say, I don't kind of trust my employees in a way that your employees will tell you the truth, because they fear that something is, either they get fired or whatever negative consequences they will have. So it's hard as a leader to get like someone who is just reflecting what they are seeing from the outside. And I think this is where a coach comes in. And this is, I think, what leaders appreciate is to have like a partnership or a thinking partnership with someone who is not dependent, because he's not an employee, and he can, talk the truth and reflecting back what they are seeing. And I think that's the first thing to be more confident in a way, is to open yourself up and to say, okay, I'm open to, allow myself that someone is also telling me what's going on and what they are seeing. Because most likely, if you're like an egocentric leader, it's like, okay, that's me, I'm the best, no one can
Hmm,
tell me anything. And then it's like all of us have blind spots and we don't see the things, right? And if you're not open
that's
to
that's the
get
boss
honest feedback.
mindset, right?
Yeah.
That's I'm the right one only.
Exactly. I know everything, and again, for some people it might work out, but it's just the people that I'm working with, they are open enough and they say, "Hey, there is more. I want to know more, how to, how to be a better leader." And also on this note, for example, I was in Stockholm a couple of weeks ago at the Inner Development Summit, and that's an organization from Sweden. And what they are saying, they got a framework, and you can find it, Inner Development Goals. It's a framework of 5 pillars with 23 skills. And what they are saying is, if we want to change the world for a better place, we need our leaders to be more conscious about what they are doing and where they are heading in the future. And so they got up with skills. And the skills, if you read when you read them, it's like, okay, self-compassion, it's
Mm.
forgiveness, it's being in the moment, being present, co-creating, all these kind of soft skills, I would say, that people think it has nothing to do with leadership. With leadership, it needs to be hard, fast, and
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
and
yeah.
that's interesting.
We'll get there. But for me as a leader, emotionally or even in my mind, I know how I got there because I worked hard and I know numbers by heart, and I also very familiar with all the processes of the
Mm,
of the of the company or of the other employees that they're doing, so I can guess that how efficient they are. But when I make a decision, I just see it from different angle. How
mm,
can I how can I adapt my thoughts to integrate those employees' ideas into better solution? How
right,
can I accept their minds and their thoughts and get it welcomed and accepted into
right,
my world of decisions?
right. I think again the key point is to be open to this concept of maybe it's not only me, even I'm the boss, but it's about everyone involved. And one example might be Ray Dalio. I don't know if you know him from what is it, Bridgewater, I guess, one of the biggest hedge funds. And he also wrote a book called Principles, Ray Dalio,
Mm,
pretty interesting. And he has this concept of radical transparency. I think he frames it. And what it is that every employee, him from the CEO to the cleaning lady down there, everyone is or has the opportunity to tell the truth. So the cleaning lady can come to the CEO and say, "Hey, I'm seeing this, and maybe you want to change it," right? And they're all open for it. And they have a concept. Even though I think I read they have different cards, like baseball cards, with the strength and the weaknesses of every employee. And so they can just say, "Okay, let's have a new project. We need a team, and who best fits there." So I think being transparent and being open is key. And another story, just from because I had a client last week, and she was like, she's a leader from a smaller group, and what she said is, you know, she's fed up by employees just coming to her and saying, "Oh, I have this fight with the other one. Just you are the boss, just solve it." And I said,
mm,
how does it feel like to be a judge? Because that's really like you are the judge judging others, even
yeah,
though you might just know the half of the story. So, being open and having a discussion, I guess, on a level that everyone is on the same hierarchy. And again, this might not be suitable for a huge company, but Ray Dalio is a good example to this. So definitely a lot
um,
of things to play with, but it 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 begins with you as a leader, right? Not with the employees. You need to show up differently if you want to have a different impact.
okay, that's an interesting question popping up from Bryce Ali. Do you have a hero leader in brackets model, Mr. Matthias? Is it a scientific, researchable package, or is it what you got as an experience from life? Since you try many fields, which makes cumulative
Right,
experience of leadership. That's
right.
an interesting question.
Thank you so much for the question. Who was it? I can't see.
Raisa Ali.
Reis. Reis?
Raisa.
Raisa. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
the lady.
Thank you so much for the question. Yeah, so as I already said, I'm a former researcher. So for me, it needs to be science based, right? And to at least start diving deeper. And a lot of these things I'm talking about is scientifically proven. So I did uh, actually 2 courses at UC Berkeley for resilience and mindfulness for stress at work. And the science of happiness, 2 great courses that you can do online. And what it shows is that all these concepts that we are talking about, these soft skills that I would say will help you to sustain in a long run. What I'm seeing with a lot of leaders is, as you said, also, they're performing, they're doing all the time, and all of a sudden they just hit the wall because they're doing too much. Sometimes people say it feels like I'm in a roller coaster, or someone told me like time feels for him like chasing the dog and he never can catch it. And if you have this kind of mindset, you're waking up in the morning, it's like, shit, time's running. I need to do things, get your to-do list out, tuck, 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 tuck. And in the end, you're just tired and frustrated. So again, there are different models out there. I think the one is called transformative leadership model or coaching leadership model. And the coaching leadership model is more like acting as a coach. And acting like a coach means that you're asking more questions than you are giving answers to your employees. So you're opening the space. You let them decide certain tasks so that they feel empowered. Because honestly saying, if you're in a position as an employee where your boss says 1, 2, 3, this is what you have to do, then it becomes like a boring work that you do for money. But if you can empower your employees to say, oh, I'm part of this whole company or whatever project, because, I see that my leader is valuing me, I see that I can have an impact there, then that's something different. And this leads back to the leader who is open for this.
Okay, the leader is open, okay, and he's like opening ears and all that. But let me put you this let's address this challenge. Like the door is open, and he insists, and he keep telling people like, my door is open anytime. I'm all ears. I can listen, but nobody knocks the door. What I mean to ask is, how can leaders effectively manage to inspire and motivate their teams to come and speak up?
Yeah.
Maybe they give the signs, but nobody hears. Just
Right.
like you mentioned the story of the clean lady, and just like, you are the boss, please decide.
Right.
This is the problem. That's it. She's coming with a problem. She's not coming with a suggestion. She's not coming with a solution. What the right thing, in my opinion, should be like, here's the problem. What I would say, in my opinion, why don't we do 1, 2, 3, 4? And it's your call, because you're the manager, okay, or you're the
And
leader,
and
or you're
this
the...
this is for sure like creating a structure where employees see themselves as, I am the one who is just doing the work, instead of I can have influence because I can bring my
How?
ideas in, right?
Yeah, the question is how. How can leader make sure that the environment
Yeah.
is understood from each employee, even
Right.
the cleaning lady,
Right.
to come and express her thoughts, ideas, whatever that might uh, enhance the performance of the company.
Right.
How
And
can
then
I,
this.
as a
Yeah.
leader, make
Right.
this environment success?
Yeah. And this might depend on, the size of the company and how they are structured. Because if you have a little startup with 4 people, this might be easier for them to implement than in a huge company, right? So I think, and again, I mean, there are a couple of companies, also big one like Google. I just read the book Search Inside Yourself from a Google employee, and they brought mindfulness into the company with a huge course, and everyone got into it. With all the benefits that they get, better better productivity from the employees, better happiness and whatnot. But for sure, there needs to be a driving force behind it, right? And I
Mm,
also do get that maybe the leader is anyhow overwhelmed with all what he needs to do, then bringing them in. So maybe there is, and what I'm working with a client in Oatly, for example. It's a Swedish company, and they have like a change management team that are working implement change in the company, right? So what I would say is like you need the right people for this that are open, and you also need like people who are bringing this kind of things forward. Because as you say, if the leader just says my door is open and no one shows up, then the question is that I would ask as a leader, why are you not showing up, right? Is it
Mm.
because you're here because you want to make money, and that's also, and it's more I'm doing the work and that's it? Or do you fear some slashbacks if you're open with me? So, and that's the coaching approach again. So I would say as a leader, ask more questions than you will
Mm.
give them in a way. And
So
again, maybe not suitable for every company or for every environment. What I at least hear from a lot of people, there is a lot of toxic environment in companies,
sure.
and so I think it needs to start on a. You need uh, to have some seeds there and then growing it from there. It might not be okay. Tomorrow everyone is on the same page.
So if people are not coming to my door, I should initiate with asking questions.
At
Good.
least that's the coaching approach, because you never know. Maybe someone tells you, "Oh, I'm afraid of you because this and this happened and therefore I have this." And so
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
opening the door and saying, okay, my duty is done, and let's see what comes up. But if they're not coming, it's their fault, might not be enough. Again, if you want to bring this leadership style forward. And I know of a friend of mine. He's a sales leader, and he has this coaching approach, and pretty successfully works with his individual employees to give them also more space so that they can bring more ideas into the project. What I'm also seeing, we said like the leaders, it's like I want to have control, or I'm the one who's saying what to do. Having control or losing control is something that's a huge topic. Leaders don't want
Mm.
to lose control in a way to say, oh, I'm giving more freedom to my employees so that they can decide what to do, and I am with them, I'm empowering them, but I don't need to control everything. And
Yeah.
I was working with the leader, for example, and this was his topic. He was like, I don't want to let go of control. That's me. I say what I'm doing, and all the others should do what they should do. And what he got into is like that he was overwhelmed with all the work that he needed to do, right? And then we started an experiment with a little side project where he said, okay, let's trust this employee or this team member. And they came up with a great solution. And he was not really involved, and just got presented the results. And so for him, this was like, okay, maybe this is something I can bring more to the table to
Mm.
also get rid of the work, because I have the feeling I need to do everything by myself. Because, if perfectionism gets into the ball, it's like, okay, it needs to be perfect. I need to do everything. I need to have control. And
Mm.
it's like, then you're in this rat race for sure.
Okay. Here's the thing. Uh, it's two questions into one. Like, do I have to build strong, authentic relationship with my team, as this is the right way to do it, and how, if it is the right thing to do?
For me, there is no right or wrong. I'm not
Hmm.
I'm not judging, so I wouldn't say there is a better and a worse way, because you never know. Maybe some people need this type of leadership that they're in right now. Maybe not everyone is open to it. So I wouldn't say it's better. It's just the way that research tells and people are talking about, that this transformative or coach-like leadership approach might lead to more happiness, employer happiness, to more productivity. And one story that might fit in here is, for example, and this goes back hand in hand with doing everything all the time, and having no pause, or don't have a stop. Um, there is this book called Peak Performance, which is a really cool book about how can I peak perform, but also on a sustainable way. And they did this experiment with the Boston Consulting Group, which is like one of the biggest consulting companies. And if you work there, it seems, at least it's written in the book, you work 7 days a week for 60, 70 hours, whatever, right? No break at all. And so some researchers came in and said, you know what, we're trying things out, because if you're only on the gas pedal, metaphorically speaking, all the time as a car, you will break down, you know. That's not sustainable. But this is what actually everyone is doing, because you have to work harder and faster. So what they brought in is they said, you know what, on Wednesday, your employees from the Boston Consulting Group, they take a day off. They're not using their cell phones. They're not getting in touch with clients. They're just spending the time with the family, with the loved ones, whatever they want to do, right? And they freaked out first, because they said, that's not going to happen. You know, we lose all the clients and whatnot. And then they tested it out for 6 months to have a day off on Wednesday. And what they have seen is, and there is, I think, also a paper out, employee happiness was up, you know, because they had their free time to do the things that they love once a week. This led to a higher performance on the employees. This also led to a higher happiness for the clients, because the employees, the consultants, were in a better shape, mindset, and also bodily. And so again, it's like not always about rushing and doing. And I think that's my point that I want to make here. It's both. Yes, there are stressful times, but you also need rest phases. And it seems in our society, the rest phases are almost forgotten or not non-existent, because I know from myself, when I was a researcher, the hero in the laboratory was the one who left the lab at 10 p.m. at 11 p.m., right? Even though they were watching YouTube for 10 hours, no one cared. But it's like, oh, he's getting home late. You know, he is a good one. It's like, what?
Yeah, true.
And
Sadly true.
Exactly. And that's what I'm working on most likely with leaders, to bring them to a place where they say, okay, it's about performance, and that's great. But like the mantra that I like to use is slow down to speed up.
Good.
And that's a paradox, because slow down to speed up, that's weird, right? But that's exactly what it is. If you're slowing down in moments, you can speed up in other ones sustainably.
Let's give our ears now to the audience. We have Fawaz Shahri from Saudi Arabia, who's saying, wonderful. How can leaders promote psychological safety within the team?
Mm-hmm.
And we have others, so let's get it faster.
Yeah. That's a great question as well. And I'm being honest here, I'm not a specialist in psychology safety within teams, but I can remember there was a talk at this IDG summit in Stockholm from a Microsoft employee, and he was talking about the lady, I don't know the name, but she was kind of the pioneer of psychological safety. And at least what I got, it's again this more, you know, this approach of bringing something into the culture of the company that see psychological safety or the well-being of people as something valuable, or it's almost like a must, right? Because otherwise, and that's also what I'm seeing with companies a lot when working with clients, they need to perform, they need to have the sales numbers, and once, you know, they have a month that's not so good, people just get eradicated. It's like, okay, we have to cut the costs, and then you can go away, right? So that's, it seems that a lot of companies are working, but yeah, not an expert in this, but it's definitely something that's important.
Amazing. We have one inspiring leader and thought leader, and he was one of my
A lot of
guests.
titles. I don't even know what
Yeah,
it is.
he's really, really, really inspiring, and his episode was amazing. Abdullah, أهلا وسهلا. شكرا لانضمامك. Thank you very much for joining us. And he's saying insightful. I share the same with Dr. Matthias. the driving force in leadership is key to inspire and empower others toward ways. And I believe it is the cornerstone stone of true impact. Great discussion. Thank you very much. That's a
Thank you so
big
much,
compliment.
Hello. Thank you.
Back to Rais Ali. She said, "So you don't think the leader is not you don't think so you don't think the leader is not a leader means leader for small group may not succeed of leading a huge company or huge amount of people. In my opinion, you may change your mind with time. If it is as I understood, you yes, delegate control is the key. So
Yeah.
delegation is
So
there.
yeah, what I think the point that you're making here is that if you're a leader from a small group, you may not succeed a bigger group of people. I don't think that that's the point. I think the key is to be open to grow as a leader. You know, and I can just talk from my experience in the biologic like biotech companies or life science field where you are a researcher. You know, you're doing your normally you do your PhD, you do your postdoc, and you're all by yourself because it's more like you're standing in the lab and doing all this stuff, and then all of a sudden you become a leader, right? And
Mm,
you're not really in the lab anymore, but you have to lead a team, a couple of people. You need to write grants. You need money, and what I've seen is most likely, from my experience, those guys were not leaders because never told them what to do. It's like,
mm,
okay, I'm the boss. I'm doing the thing, and I always had the feeling as a PhD, I'm the worker, but I'm not in the team of my boss. My boss was somewhere there doing his thing, and we were kind of the workers who were doing the thing for him, right? But there was never like I never had the feeling that we connected in a way. And so what I want to say is, again, it's all about being open as a leader to change. And for sure, if you have a small team, you will grow into a big team as well. And I guess leadership has something to do with growing into a position. Then here I am, I'm the leader and I know everything, right? And so I guess this willingness of learning and being open to new things is key here. So yeah, it's more harder to lead a bigger group than a small one, but I'm sure you can get into it, and you will.
okay. Let's bring a new term here to the table. It's called culture. Okay. So what does that mean differently than the environment? Is it the
Mm.
fixed rules that leaders cannot touch? They can influence, they can play around, or what leaders has to do with enhancing the culture?
Mm.
Because sometimes in Dubai, for example, the culture is important because beliefs and thoughts coming from all around the world with
Yeah.
everybody's different background, different culture. And like to give you an example, the Asian people are not self-encouraged to express their minds until they're asked to. So if I am a leader and I'm not aware of this fact in Dubai, I would say these are underperforming guys and they never express their thoughts.
Yeah.
But I have to understand that, yeah, I have to ask them and they will come back with, wow, something, because this is what they believe.
Right.
So what I want to highlight here, what can leaders do with culture?
Hmm. And I would say the leader is definitely in a position who can change the culture, right? Because he is like the leader, but that's only just one guy in the whole pyramid, right? Uh, and so there might be more people involved in it. So what I know is that, interestingly, I know a lot of coaches in Dubai. So it seems there are a lot of leaders who are open for this kind of work, right? To
Yeah.
grow and get more aware of them. Um, I would also say that yes, definitely there are different cultures and employees will have different backgrounds. And it's important not to overrule them, to say, okay, that's our culture, our company culture. This is how we do it, and we just forget about everything where you are coming from. Which
Mm.
also comes back to building or providing a safe space for everyone that they can express who they really are. And
Beautiful.
bringing this awareness is not always easy, and maybe some people are not really interested in put the work into it, because it's not something that will just magically transform overnight. But
Yeah.
I think if you have people in the company who are leading this change, and this can be the leader and this can be other people, and bringing this awareness, by time things might change to the better.
Beautiful. I don't know why LinkedIn is not showing users and it always show LinkedIn user. I'm sorry for
Yeah.
that, guys. This is Yasmina Shamimi, and she said, I agree with the point to be open to grow as a leader. Thank you very much for
Thank you,
confirming
Yasmin.
that. Also, here's a reply from Raisa Ali to her question. She's like, she liked your answer, obviously. So thank you,
Thank
Raisa.
you. Thank you so much.
Okay, now positive positivity. Okay, there is a culture, there is an environment, and we always try to improve it as leaders. But positivity and not only positive communication, but supportive work environment. Like just like you said at the beginning, some people come just like 9 to 5, or sometimes stay late on YouTube or whatever, just so to be complimented that they
Mm,
are a very good performers, which reality is they're not. Uh, I want this time to be quality time, to be positive. Okay, I agreed, for example, to give them this Wednesday. Yeah, go have family time. Let's
right.
all enjoy this time. But when they
you,
come
you will
back,
be already a hero if you're doing this, I guess.
right? When they come back, I want to guarantee just like I give you something, I need something in return. I will need positive. I need people to influence or just to speak up, even if it is not their uh, task or requirement,
Right.
to express their opinion and help others, not only to take the credit.
Mm,
The credit is a big issue in the corporate world and in the work. Like, I
yeah.
did this and I did that, and I have to do this, and this is my show off, and you
Mm,
know.
mhm,
But to be part of a team that is supporting a thought or an idea or let's say a habit inside this culture to push the company forward. How can I make sure that it is positive,
mm,
not just like toxic thing, like I did this because I want him to fall into this
right.
mistake, and yeah,
Right. Right.
So positivity is different thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
How can I
No,
encourage that as a leader?
great questions here as well. So I think, or at least from this point where I'm coming from, everyone needs to be included. And I mentioned it before with the Search from Inside book. So that's really a hot tip for everyone who wants to see how you can develop as a leader in a corporate setting, like search inside yourself. And what they did actually is they started a program where they involved everyone in Google with a lot of practices. And I think this is or culture, or a positive culture. Um, Everyone needs to be included as well. So it might not be enough that the leader says, that we need to be positive. People need to see, or maybe also feel, that they are
Appreciated.
valuable, appreciated, right? And this is the
Mm.
best way to do it as a leader, to appreciate what they are doing and giving them the feeling of they are heard, they are seen, you know, and then bringing something in like this search from inside. like exercises or team plays where teams get together, and then they start to really listen to each other, and they start to be compassionate about themselves. So not only what I've read, not only the teams inside a team, but also a wider structure, right?
Mm,
So that they all are working on a higher goal, so to speak. And I can imagine that's probably not easy to bring everyone to this place to say, okay, I'm not working for the money, but I'm working for this higher achievement that we want to create together, right?
too
Um,
ideal.
yeah, too ideal maybe. And then again, there might be people who are not on the same page, and this is also what one leader told me. You know, he struggles with building up his team because there are people who are not receptive to this kind of leadership,
Mm,
and they want
mm,
to be they want a boss that's saying you do this and this, and they don't need to think. And
mm.
maybe you need these players as well, or maybe not. So that's, you know, how you want to build the team. um, it's definitely not for everyone. It's definitely not the easiest way to implement, but I think at least what I'm learning is that it's definitely worth it on a long term, also to how you are seen as a leader. And you know, there are all these 360 um, interviews where a leader gets a lot of different feedback from people around him and from from other teams, and this is definitely something that's valuable, just to see how others think of you. Um,
Okay, we got 3 minutes, so I have two questions and I need to rush them
yes,
in.
let's answer them quickly.
Yeah. Okay, let's go back to Matthias, the microbiologist. Okay,
Yes,
get into the microscope and live.
microscope, love it.
What do you think the future of leadership looks like? Not like bacteria, of course.
Yeah, I truly believe, like what the IDGs are saying, the inner development goals. If we want to change the world for a better, we need a different approach to the world, and the leaders are the ones who are blazing the trail. So we definitely need a different approach to leadership than most companies have right now.
Beautiful. Okay, thank you, Yasmina Shamimi. The idea to ensure that employees feel sense of belonging, their value to the company recognized, and see themselves as leaders. A valuable,
Thank
good add here. Practical tips. Let's end with this. Practical tips for mindful leadership. We just like have this topic and we talked around it. Let's give them practical things to follow.
Practical tips: get a coach is the first thing that I can say. It really transformed my
Nice.
life. Not doesn't need to be me, right? But having someone who is mirroring what you're doing and giving you different perspectives, it's huge, and it
Yeah,
completely transforms
outside
your life.
perspective.
Another tip, maybe a practical tip, is just breathe. You know, there is this technique called box breathing, and it's all about calming yourself down in stressful situations. And you can Google it, called box breathing, like a box where you breathe in 4 seconds, you hold your breath for 4 seconds, you breathe out for 4 seconds, you hold your breath for 4 seconds.
Oh, we have
So
Yasmina
this is
Samimi. She's an expert with the breathing as
yeah,
well.
yeah, and this is what the SWAT team is doing. You know, it's like if they jump off a plane in a war field at night with the parachutes, they are doing this before, because this will calm your system down, and you will be relaxed and calm and focused. And so this you can do in, you know, before. I have leaders doing it before their meetings, before a keynote, whatever, and I'm doing it by myself as well. So breathing is at least
Amazing.
a short practical thing.
Okay, on a short one and very fast, Fawaz Shahri, I believe what distinguishes leaders is their behavior, regardless of the sizing of the group. That's amazing add here. Uh, Less than a minute, but quickly, what can we?
Bring it up, bring it up.
So what can we conclude this as nuggets, golden nuggets for this session?
Golden nuggets. Be open to learning, I would say, and if you want, start trusting your body more and
Oh,
connect with your inner self. A lot of people say, what they want is achieving from inner peace. So they are performers, they are doers, they're achievers, but they're doing it from a really stressed energy. And so bringing more peace and mindfulness is definitely something that you can show up in the internet, how to meditate and stuff. We can't get into it anymore, but
that's a big compliment coming from Rais Ali. I think you're a good leader, brother, and it seems you're not.
yeah,
What a nice.
I'm middle-aged, I would say. Still,
Yeah,
gray hair are coming here.
yeah,
So
yeah.
thank you.
Thank you, Raisa. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for attending this session. We try always to be on
Thank you,
time, so
guys.
we don't just like take your time of much of your time. So, thank you again, Matthias, for sharing your valuable insights and wisdom. Your passion for mindful strategy is truly inspiring. Really, I enjoyed it.
Thank you
And
so
for
much for
you,
having me.
all of you, thank you very much. Remember, by
Thank you.
cultivating mindfulness and prioritizing your self-care, we can become more effective leaders and happier individuals. So to learn more or communicate with Dr. Matthias Hombauer, I think LinkedIn is the right
LinkedIn is the
platform.
best way. Yeah, I'm there. You will find me.
Amazing. So let me conclude this by saying thank you very much for joining us today. Until next time, stay mindful, stay inspired, and lead with compassion.
Thank you.
Bye for
Bye.
now.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Daniel.